gonna make it, gonna write this down. This is my world now. New look, got the ladies shook. New watch saying it's my time. These magazines wanna feature me, cause they know I'm on the rise. But the attention, I'm on a mission. Cause ever since I flipped that switch, my power can't be denied. Oh my, 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 oh my, my, my. Call me a king, you can buy me a crown. Oh my, 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 oh my, my, my. I'm leveled up, and this is my world now. This is my world now. So anyone who try to write me off,
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Our family started RVing a few years ago, and when I think about all those campfires and fishing trips and sporting events, these are memories that are going to last a lifetime. I want to help others do the same thing. Hi, I'm Kevin Smith, General Manager at the all-new CLICKIT RV in Milton Freewater. People in this community are very familiar with this location and the great service they've always received. So the biggest question we get is, where is Keith? The great news is, Keith is still here.
I've seen a lot of changes. I've seen a lot of things come and go. Through all the changes that we have seen, one thing that has not changed for us is the quality of our service.
Buying an RV is a big purchase, but it should be a fun and happy experience. So whether it be in sales or service or parts, our mission is simple: be the best. From our team here at CLICKIT RV in Milton Freewater, we invite you to come down and experience the difference.
After a week off in observance of the Juneteenth holiday last Monday, we welcome you back to coverage of iRacing on LSRTV and on the Community Radio Network. We're ready to go tonight for round number 14 this evening, and we're racing at Okayama International Circuit located in Japan. It is the next round for the Northwest iRacing Truck Series presented by CLICKIT RV on LSRTV and the Community Radio Network. Good evening, I'm Wesley Outlet. Justin Prince, our friend of the North in Canada, alongside Charles Wooten, Mr. LSRTV producer, and the CLICKIT RV production truck in Texas is manning the broadcast. It's a stormy night, 70 mile an hour straight line winds. Hopefully the weather will hold off so we can get this race in, Justin Prince. In North Carolina, you're in Canada, it's nice and good there, but you know the history a little bit more about Okayama. Tell about this racetrack. Formula One, road coursing, closed circuit. Now tonight we make history with the trucks on LSR-TV.
Yes, indeed. Good evening. When it comes to Okayama International Circuit, keep in mind, open since 1990, originally a private motor racetrack that was made to host those who wanted to book a racetrack to race on their own. But for a couple of years, interestingly enough, at the time it was called the TI Circuit, when it hosted the F1's Pacific Grand Prix, where Michael Schumacher picked up victories early on in his career back at that time. Eventually, though, it led to what we see today there: Super GT, GT World Challenge, Asia races, and more. Now, why is it so familiar potentially for some of the drivers tonight? It's also a gaming fixture because a lot of games and simulations have had this track in their respective platforms for at least 20 plus years. A track that is very tightly confounded to get around the racing circuit, but at the same time is also one that can be intriguing for these trucks tonight. And in turn, these drivers will have to be able to wheel these machines around very difficult corners, slow-moving corners in some sections, to be able to properly come up on top tonight.
Well, we'll look forward to bringing this one to you here as he just mentioned again. The drivers of the Northwest Truck Series getting into position for tonight's race as we're looking at qualifying about to wrap up in less than 10 minutes. Dennis Moore is the man at the top of the board, 135.170. Dan West Jr. in the second spot, 135.957. And this is a road course again where it's new to us, Justin. I know it's going to be exciting to see what type of an atmosphere we see with this. And obviously, the thing about road course racing, we know that there's going to be a competition caution sometime before or after halfway. We just don't know when. That's the number we all watch. And obviously, you know that there's not yellow flags and there's going to be a distance to the finish. The scheduled distance will be what it will be. No overtimes, and obviously the strategy changes because of that on this road course at Okayama.
Yeah, that's going to be something drivers are going to have to be very conscientious about because they don't know that exact time frame of the exact time the caution would be thrown. So it's going to be the question, do drivers try and split up strategy? Do they hope they can stretch out the fuel tank? That's going to be the major question. Also, that's going to be the major question. You mentioned Dennis Moore moments ago at the top of the board currently qualifying. The gap is currently about 8 tenths. He's been on fire tonight. Even his own teammates, such as Ryan Bloom, we see trying to get things sorted here, has been someone who's been difficult to keep up. He just topped him, though, by another 8 tenths. Fastest out of any time today in the 134.3s.
So Ryan Bloom just went to the top of the board now, 134.326. Just bumping Dennis Moore, obviously. Here is Dan West Jr. See where he'll end up now, 135.957 on his qualifying run. By the way, it is storming like crazy. I'll stay here with you as best as I can, guys. But there has been a chance of severe weather in the Carolinas all night long right now. Just severe thunderstorms as it is. But Ryan Bloom is, again, the man that everybody's keeping an eye on, 134.326. Dennis Moore second, 135.170. Dan West Jr. is third. Devin West right behind him. So it'll be the West family on row number 2. And honestly, Justin, I think Dan West Jr. is locked in on his qualifying run. He was just making extra laps just to get more seat time, I think.
I mean, it's a track that's not normally on the iRacing schedule, and that's not a surprise. See, drivers wanting to make sure they're all prepared, especially with how big the field is tonight, nearly 20-plus drivers, so a lot of potential of lost points if you don't get yourself gathered up. Plus, tonight, you have drivers who like to specialize the road courses. Paul Noonan, for example, coming out to the road course tonight. Currently top 5 amongst the qualifying. An interesting name I haven't seen too much of before. Joshua Cushman is also someone in 13th amongst those who put in qualifying times. And here's the thing. If you know how to drive this track, or at least have a comfortability to be consistent here tonight, you get yourself in a spot where you get some decent points if you're in the points battles. If you don't know how to drive a road course, and knowing that, of course, this is one of a couple road courses before the postseason, you better figure out, if you haven't already, get around this racetrack and quick, because that races like tonight may be your difference between later on this year being in the playoffs, in the round of 12, and being outside looking in, and then some.
And could you say, Justin, to elaborate more on this, that this is definitely going to be a wild card for tonight's event here at Okayama?
I think it absolutely is a wild card in that most of the field don't necessarily run too much on the road courses outside of, in terms of, if you go by the license side, Robert Gamble and Sean Breisman. If you go by the IR side, Robert Gamble, and that's about it. Most people, though, when they drive on these road courses, usually end up being amongst those of the stock cars based on the Northwest Racing Series history. Drivers that have caught to mind, for example, Jeff Stabnow. If you think back a few years ago, around 2019, 2020 actually, there were some crazy finishes that he was a part of in the midst of those battles. where several times they wrecked for the lead at the Charlotte Roval in the first couple years there. So to say the very least, tonight's a wild card on how tonight's going to play out, who's going to end up being the person who takes the checker flag in the first place, let alone who picks up a top 10.
Well, we'll certainly keep an eye on all of this as all of this is going on with the conclusion of qualifying that has just gone on track now. Welcome to coverage again on iRacing on LSRTV and the Community Radio Network again at Okayama International Circuit Round 12. Here's your Kaufman Creative weather conditions. It's 84 degrees the air temp. Wind speed at 8 to 9 miles an hour. Track temp at 89 degrees. And it is clear. Usually all season long, we've given a forecast of mostly cloudy. Tonight, clear. Ready to go. Can we give you the distance of this race, or at least the race analysis of how things will go? How many laps? 102 miles, 45 laps is the distance. 102 miles, 45 laps. And Justin Prince, I have been informed that the competition caution will fall somewhere between lap 11 and 31. Here's your starting lineup. Fast qualifier. Ryan Bloom at Okayama International Circuit. To the outside, Dennis Moore here in Japan, row 1. Row 2, Dan West Jr. and Devin West, the West family out of Shelton, Washington. And they've been dominating this season on the Northwest Circuit of all infrastructure. Paul Newton and Robert Campbell's coming off of a win on the GT3 Series recently, row 3. Row 4, Toby Ritters. What a qualifying run for Clifford. And to his outside, the 2020 Cup Series champion, Sean Brightsman. Top 10, Christopher White, the 2021 Cup Series champion. And a recent winner also on the series, Stephen O'Hare in 41. Justin, he'll start 10th.
11th spot tonight going to the 21 machine. That's Tyler King looking to work from the middle of the field with John Ottenbacher alongside in row 6. Row 7 features Joshua Cushman. This is his second start in the trucks this season. BJ Tedrick alongside in row 7. Row 8 featuring Stephen Paulison. And I'll have Dan Lather alongside among some of the drivers who did not set qualifying times for tonight's action. Back along the 9th row behind is Kevin Smith, with Brett Johnson looking to find his way through the pack. And rounding up the field this evening, one of the wild cards for the back of the field. Keep an eye on the 24 truck, Jeff Stabnow. He's been fairly consistent here over the years on the road courses. Frank Harris in 20th, last in starting spots.
So 20 trucks again ready to go again for 45 laps time. Sim time, by the way, 2 hours, 25 minutes, just in case we can't go 45 laps, but I have no doubt that will not be the problem. We're ready to go again with Ryan Bloom, Dennis Moore on your front row. And we're not wasting no time. Okayama International Circuit, probably the only of 2 road course races this year for the Northwest Truck Series, presented by CLICKIT RV. Here they come to the starter's box below the Autobacks Bridge, awaiting the green flag at a snail's pace as they come to the starter line. Green is out. We're underway. 45 laps. History at Okayama. You have a virtual race. They'll center into turn 1. Dennis Moore, Justin, on the hole shot. No!
Dennis Moore walking to the sand trap.
No!
Dennis
yes,
Moore shoots it off the circuit and gives it off to Ryan Bloom, his teammate, working to the first corner. A disastrous start to the race as they work their way towards Moss S. Ryan Bloom takes advantage to take the lead. Devin West up the second as they work to Atwood Curve for the first time. Now it's the West Family Racing Trucks 2 and 3 as they make their way towards the hairpin.
Misfortunes for Dennis Moore, the pole truck, and now we got Paulison and Tidrick in a wreck there as we work to the hairpin turn. All the while, Ryan Bloom now quickly to the lead. Look at him scamper the way around the road course here at Okayama International Circuit. It is Bloom, it is West Jr., Newton Gamble top 5. And there's the pole truck, Dennis Moore, from first to worst, if you will, back in 17th there, Justin.
A disastrous start as out the track goes the 58 as Stephen Paulison now to the dead last portion of the field in 20th spot. More trouble still building up on the Revolver, working their way through Piper. All this is while the leaders are still battling side by side. Amongst those looking to scrap, it's Cushman outside, forced on the outside group through Hobbs. Opens up the door for Jeff Stabnow. Stabnow already up from 19th to 14th through Mike Knight corner.
They're approaching lap number 1 completed in this race. 44 to go as they again come to the start line. Back for the whole shot into the turn 1 area before getting to the hairpin. Jeff Stabnow, by the way, quickly up 7 spots into the 13th position. There's Annenbacher, 11th spot. Well, there goes Kevin Smith on his outside. Great battle going on. Frank Harris in trouble as he goes off course. He holds it together. We stay green. And remember, no caution except for the competition yellow.
This is the track, mind you, if you end up missing the braking zone in the first corner, it's so easy to launch yourself off into the sand trap. Looking to battle alongside, coming out of Atwood Curve, this time inside line, going Kevin Smith, Annenbacher on the outside. Let's buy Smith with the burp of the throttle. Kevin Smith able to pick up the spot of the 00 back to the 11th position. Harris, meanwhile, not having a fun time in the hard braking zones. Again, off a second time this lap. Now he's dead last.
Another problem again for the driver there. And again, we'll continue to stay and monitor this. Some good drivers up in the front, now falling in the back. There's Sean Breitzman. Breitz Boutique, number 46 machine, trying to go after the 21. This is Tyler King on the inside, driver left. And now behind him, White right there in that battle. This is going on for 6th, 7th, and 8th, going on around their sharp turns here. And that Moss corner, as you mentioned, working back to the start-finish line here. 2 laps in, working lap 3. Let's go on board with Chris White. Look at how fast you got to get on the binders there, JP, to dive into turn 1.
And not only that, you have to be able to get it to slow roll through without having too much massive grip loss as you work through the gears. Then off to Williams. Had to hold on the left side and not do the slide away. Chris White went into the tire barrier. Chris White crashes for the top 10.
The white media, number 47, losing in his Chevrolet. And Chris White now up in the top 10, now falling back to 16th. He's back rolling again. No harm, no foul, except losing position. He'll now try to run down Brett Johnson again off that turn.
Yeah, I was just about to say, you need to be able to balance out the throttle almost like an egg tonight. Give and take, given to the hairpin as Big Red Clifford lets on the position, the 23 of Toby Ritter, to let by Kevin Smith go in through the hairpin. But to work through these sections, you need to be able to, with how quick the gearing is, be able to be right there when it gets that slip on the rear tires, or else these drivers are going to be spinning around, especially even early on in a race like this. The middle section in particular is the most difficult because you have hairpin, Revolver, Piper, Redmond, Hobbs, Mike Knight corner, and then the last corner in terms of that sequence. That is so tightly compact. You basically, if you make a mistake, open up a spot for anybody to pass you within a second.
Ryan Bloom, Devin West, now Dan West Jr. battling with Robert Gamble. He's picked up a win in the RGL Motorsports GT3 Series. By the way, the penultimate race of their road course season, as it's kind of road course week on LSRTV, will be Wednesday night, and that will be at Virginia International Raceway. Bloom the leader. West second. By the way, big climber. Jeff Stabnow up another spot, and Dennis Moore in front of him has also made a quick climb after his hiccup on the start.
Dennis Moore was one of the quickest drivers. In fact, he was the quickest in final practice for a reason, going up the right side with a bit of a side draft. Longest straightaway on the racetrack through the hairpin. Opening the door underneath O'Hare. O'Hare gives a wide berth to allow the 44 Moore to make the pass. But again, when you think back to Stabnow's repertoire of the road courses, he's been somebody who's been able to drive well even from deep in the pack in the past. The tough part is, the problem is with how far back he started the race, he needs to close up 21 seconds there is the competition caution that will be very helpful in the later term for the 24 truck.
Okayama International Circuit, located in Mimasaka-shi, Okayama, Japan. A very popular racetrack, again, for Formula One and obviously the Japanese European circuit. And now, for the first time ever, the Northwest iRacing Truck Series, presented by CLICKIT RV tonight. A very unique racetrack. I'll tell you what, Justin, it's definitely different from Suzuka, no doubt.
It's a very unique track in how compact it is, but also just how really, when you think about it, because it was started off with a backbone simply of someone who was having experience in the golf course industry in terms of trying to get that background in, but taking it to motorsports for a playground for performance cars. And then a couple years later, it ends up hosting a Formula One Grand Prix. Very quickly, things can change, but these days, still holds plenty of action, as mentioned, in Asia. It's one of the top tracks in the region, mind you, but it's also one of the tracks that, when you think about it, really fits the stock car build as Dan Lawler comes off the racetrack. But to answer the question in that regard, in terms of how this track could race in turn, we're seeing how this Okayama prefecture-based circuit is intriguing in terms of how it plays out, where it causes those differences in not just strong straight distance, but also provides potential dive bomb sections. It provides potential areas for slip-ups and mistakes to open up doors for others, but it also in turn is very challenging, very deceptively challenging, unless you've had a lot of experience around this circuit like some people would have as far back in the digital age since the early 2000s.
Tedrick in trouble, nose in the guardrail. We have a caution. No caution. I'm sorry, we have no caution is what I meant to say. My bad. Ryan Bloom, Devin West, Paul Newton, Robert Gamble right now, top 5 with Dan West Jr. There's Sean Breitzman. And with now Smith running him down for that 7th spot on track. 5 laps into it, working lap 6 again here at Okayama International Circuit. And obviously, Justin, we mentioned Moss, we mentioned hairpin. What are some other parts of this racetrack, like tight corners and hairpins and S's and chicanes and things we'll be mentioning tonight?
Well, Moss S technically is basically a small jet to the left. I wouldn't consider that. Atwood curve, though, is the next corner after that, which is a major set point for some drivers. The hairpin especially. Redmond, though, in the section where right now Sean Breitzman and Kevin Smith are, you open up the door for a potential of a switchback if you leave the curbing open for the next part of the corner, right now through Hobbs. And because of that, you get that preferred line if you get to the right side of Breitzman, for example, in this case, if you're the 00, to be able to make the pass by Mike Knight corner, if not by the last corner. So this is a lot of right-handers in turn where you need to be on the right side of the track. Kevin Smith showing how the first corner can come into play, but you need to be alongside, because if you launch it too late, you get in trouble, or you have a spinner that can possibly go up across your nose if Smith sent it. He instead takes it.
There you see now Kevin Smith clearing by Sean Breitzman, as Justin just reiterated on. There is Dennis Moore on the rumble strips with Clifford right behind him. Toby Ritters, Justin, with a solid run for him now. Lap 7 of 45. Remember, lap 11 to 31 could be the competition caution somewhere within that 20-lap green flag window as Dennis Moore hits
Dennis
up
Smith
again. Look
right
out,
into Ritters.
Oh, man.
Whoa. What was that about the good run for Ritters? It just imploded with the help of his teammate for Win Racing.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Rose.
Yeah, you did.
I'm sorry, Clifford. Yeah.
Wow. Well, new damage model in effect, by the way. That's a major change since about the last time we raced up in these trucks. So that's now going to be really tested with that hit there. Just nothing you can do if you're in the case of Ritters. Again, if you slide off the racetrack, off the grass here, you lose that grip, you're off into the wall. Or rather, you're into into Toby Ritters. And nothing you can do in the case of Ritters except push on and carry on, and somehow the nose looks fine.
So it's not as bad as it looks, right? Or it's not as bad as we thought it looked.
It is
it does
crunched
look
in,
just a little bit. Yeah, yeah.
I'm stunned that it still worked. I'm stunned he's keeping up with the 41 of O'Hare up in front of him down the straightaway. He's faster than O'Hare on the straightaway with a crushed in nose. I don't know.
It's the not giving up spirit, if you will, right?
I think it as well. The truck, absolutely. Dennis Moore, for reference, by the way, is currently battling and passing Ottenbacher for 12, so he gets to do the recovery drive for a second time today.
Dennis Moore, again, was saved, still in the fast 12 right now, that 12th spot. And that CLICKIT RV bomb speed entry right there for Win Racing. Speaking of another Win Racing teammate, Ryan Bloom up in front, Devin West in second. Paul Newton, the Paul Newton Designs. P&D number 5, 27 Ford in third. Again, as we're seeing Dennis Moore shuck and jive and gamble. No Paulison in trouble. The Aerokinetics Sim Sports 58 there in trouble off the pace. His Ford back rolling again. However, he'll fall to the top 15.
Still able to hold on to it down the straightaways. But in regards to the championship discussion, I think it's going to be more so who doesn't have a win inside the top grouping. Here's something to consider. Caden Anderson's only got 5 starts. Likely might not make the postseason as a result, depending on how many starts he has towards the end of the season. So there's one spot opened up to be able to be battling for points. But Stabnow, Ritters, Ottenbacher, I think, are amongst those comfortable because they're amongst the top 6 in points, despite some of the struggles, especially for Ottenbacher. I think if you're Brett Johnson, Frank Harris, and especially Tyler King, though, you need to have a good night and a good next few nights. Here's part of the issue. Some of those drivers I just named are towards your back half of the grid currently, except for King, who looks comfortable and is holding off Kevin Smith for 6th position, a spot he needs to be able to chip away at the gap.
Broadcast coverage on the Community Radio Network, as always, the Stock Car Racing Team Game and the Russell Wiles Agency Group Incorporated. Again, thanks to CLICKIT RV for the TV coverage of iRacing on LSRTV. I'm Wesley Outlet, Justin Prince alongside, of course, again, Charles Wooten manning the boards, and Okayama International Circuit, 45 laps, road course race number 1 of the year. I believe if I remember correctly, tonight is Okayama of only 2 road courses. Later on season in August, Justin, will be at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and that's a fun race course we've covered along the way. But again, in years past, we've done 4 or 5 road courses, not this year, by request of drivers.
I mean, road courses are very hard to drive on. But this season's schedule as a whole, as we've touched upon a bit, especially now that we moved past the first round of RTP preparation, that was where a lot of the races were in sync and lockstep with the sim. It's now towards the fun side, and where every team has to be able to build their setups on their own. They can't just rely upon what others have had for RTP or even the official race schedules now, because you don't have the lineup of the schedule. Pocono, that's a summer race. Legacy Texas, that's something most people would have. Legacy Phoenix with no dogleg, yeah, most people aren't going to have that. Technically, keep in mind, that's supposed to be a retired racetrack. I'm not sure how that's going to work yet. The Brickyard, that's an oval race. Has been raced on an oval in stock car racing for the past few years. That's going to require a team to build a setup. Just about every race that's left to go on the calendar, you're either relying upon multiple build-to-go setups, or you're going to have to work together as a team to build these setups together, because you will not have the simplicity of going to a shop, let's say, and saying, okay, I need this setup, you're going to have to put in the work if you want to win this championship in the second half of the season.
Paulison and Ottenbacher battling. Obviously, tonight, the road course at Okayama. Round number 14 tonight of the season. We're off, by the way, next Monday night for 4th of July, which is good, Justin, because I have real race announcing obligations for 4th of July weekend, June 30th all the way to the July 4th. And then we come back on July 10th, Pocono. Of course, always the tricky triangle. That's always a fun track, 2.5 miles. Texas on the way, Phoenix with no dog leg. Those are your next 3 races. And I can't believe, Justin, how fast the season's been. We continue the Monday night series for the trucks. But, man, you think about the Xfinity program for the Wednesday night. CLICKIT RV Northwest fixed series, Xfinity cars, they don't race again, Justin, until Labor Day, and then they got 4 races until their run to the playoffs. And we're having fun races right now with that.
Yeah, that's going to get intriguing, I think, on that side of the card, especially with what you just mentioned. But here's another thing to consider, too. On both fronts, it was build week about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. For some of these drivers, the first time really with the trucks since then. And a major thing to mention by the time we get to Pocono to consider is dirty air is much more of a factor on racetracks right now with the trucks. Especially not just with the damage model, but also how they changed the drafting model. It's going to be critical to search for clean air on the ovals, as Dan Lowther continues to have a mare of a day. For 19th, I think, is currently having his technical issues start to try and hold on to the truck as well. But the main emphasis I'm trying to say here is it's going to be more like real-world equivalent type of racing where you need to find clean air pockets or else you get essentially stuck in the midst of traffic and others will take advantage. And the skill level has risen in turn since the build on the ovals.
Working now lap 11. 11 laps completed, working completion of lap 12, heading to lap 13 is right now Ryan Bloom the leader. Devin West second. There you see now Paul Newton third. There's Sean Breitzman, Toby Ritters, Stephen O'Hare, Dennis Moore. This is the battle for 7th to 10th. By the way, Ryan Bloom, Justin Prince, the leader, as they work their way up the Moss corner again, almost off the hairpin. A 19-second lead Ryan Bloom has
Absurd
over Devin West. Crazy.
I was just about to say, was talking about in looking towards those sectors. As his teammate Dennis Moore tries to cross over, can't do anything. The major difference right now between Ryan Bloom at the front of the field in the 25 truck and everybody else, it's important to mention, he on the second half of the road course is half a second quicker. The first half of the road course up to 0.6 of a lap quicker right now on the average. That is absurd, to say the very least, with how quick those Win Racing trucks are. Emphasis. You have Ascend. Tommy Ritter is passing by Breitzman to the first corner, despite having a race car-shaped dent in the front nose, impacting that front nose.
And Ritters, again, getting around Breitzman, as you mentioned. Just somehow, I cannot believe that he's being as competitive as he is after having that accident there with Moore earlier. Dennis Moore, by the way, he's right there hanging with him too.
I was about to say one thing to think about too that's a major change is before, when it comes to teams, they can pack on as much tape as they like, right? They can, in race trim, go by 80%, in quality trim, go up 100%. You can't do that anymore because now with the fixed tape rules, regulations essentially, that's now gone to iRacing, where you have a fixed qualifying number and a race fixed number. Basically, everyone's on the same playing field on tape. If we had different tape numbers, then some of these teams might be panicking, because a lot of teams, if you give that chance, push the envelope. You can't push that envelope anymore because that envelope is now no longer existent.
And another thing, Justin, that we got to remember is that we've approached that pit window somewhere between lap 11 and 31. There's that 20-lap swing where the pit lane, where the caution will come out for a competition yellow. And obviously, then you got to determine, and I said it's a pit window. I say that, Justin, because if we get a caution, you would think the smart thing to do would be to come to pit lane. You don't have to, but obviously that's the only time that everybody will be bunched up slow around the track. As Sean Brightsman loose coming off of that corner, he'll save it.
Well, you say that, it's also difficult to catch up on a road course up to the pace car usually. And these are 90-second laps, just about 94 seconds at full tempo. So it's going to be thinking about that, but also thinking about hoping you can gain things up to be able to undercut the window, hopefully so. I know Ryan Bloom's not going to be looking forward to that competition caution because he's an absolute rocket ship and then some right now. But in terms of that, I think it's more so because of the fuel window. Because you want to push as hard as you can, I think. Depending on the time of the caution, you might not even be able to pit here once it gets to that point. Or rather, if we go to the back end of that projection to make it a short one, because it's pretty clear you can make it on gas in 14 laps.
Ryan Bloom, Devin West, Paul Newton, Rob Campbell, Kevin Smith, right now the top 5. Ryan Bloom, again, the interval is about 23 seconds now over Devin West. And again, 134.973 seconds. The last 2 laps have been fast. He just turned a 134.973 as the fastest man around the racetrack. He has been consistent. Ryan Bloom in another world compared to everybody else, no doubt, here at Okayama, Justin.
Yes, absolutely. Now it's the matter, though, of can everybody make it clean for 2 more thirds of the way, Wesley?
And somewhere between now to lap 31, we could also see the competition caution. We'll pause for 10 seconds of network identification. This is the Northwest iRacing Truck Series from Okayama International Circuit. iRacing on LSRTV and CRN, the Community Radio Network.
Community Radio Network, WCRN 87.9 FM, Clayton, Garner, Raleigh, North Carolina, USA. We are CRN.
At CLICKIT RV, we know there's a lot of heritage and history at this location. RV sales and service has been part of this community for decades. We knew there was an incredible opportunity here, but to see where we've come in just a year is incredible. None of it would be possible without the patronage and support from this community. So whether it be a more convenient and accessible service drive, a fully stocked parts department, or this amazing sales facility, what drives this team daily is making sure our customers leave here with the best possible experience.
Still no caution here at Okayama International Circuit in virtual Japan. Welcome back to coverage of iRacing on LSRTV and the Community Radio Network. I'm Wesley Outland. Justin Prince is alongside. Charles Wooten is manning the boards. And again, round 14 tonight of the Northwest Truck Series, presented by CLICKIT RV after taking a week off for the Juneteenth holiday. As Frank Harris in trouble. Good work by the leader, Ryan Bloom, to miss him. He will go a lap down. Justin, it's been all Ryan Bloom, even after we come back from radio timeout. The interval now, 27 seconds over Devin West. 25 is flying and gone.
It's astounding, to say the very least. 2 seconds quicker than everybody else in the field since the drop of the green flag. And it's pretty clear he is in a groove. And I mean a very confident groove right now. If everyone else is off of that mark, it's the question mark. Can anybody stop that blue and orange truck?
And again, they hope for that caution flag, and maybe he'll make a slip on the pit lane and everyone else can capitalize on that. But for right now, what a phenomenal job by the driver there in that number 25. Ryan Bloom continuing to represent Proudly Win Racing as the man in that top spot. Devin West for Team LSRTV. And Justin, I testify and prophesize on this again on the virtual world. Another night, Win Racing versus LSRTV, going at it again. It's been that way, it seems like, all season.
Yeah, it's been intriguing, to say the very least, to keep an eye on how that's played out. Win Racing's trucks have basically been extremely consistent, because Dennis Moore's been top of the board in terms of points for a long while. Ryan Bloom's been amongst the top runners in the points throughout the season. The only down spot so far, really, even if you throw out Toby Ritter's, Toby Ritter's even, I should say, is having a great year. Kevin Smith, the only reason he's not higher up in the points is because, well, his internet connection seemed to go out every time he was in the race lead earlier on this season. So what can you say? But in regards to the other trucks with the LSRTV logos you're referring to, especially the racing trucks, as well as those LSRTV machines, those seem to be in tandem as well, but it's been a mixture of track to track almost, although Win Racing has had the majority.
Lowther maybe trying to take advantage of the undercut possibly and pitting before anybody else does. He is the first man, it looks like, on the scoring pylon, JP, taking advantage of this pitting.
I don't know if that's going to be scheduled, because Lowther was already a lap down. And it looks like
you're
Lowther's
exactly
staying.
right. But Justin, here's the thing though. If he gets the caution when it comes out, he gets the free pass unless he's a part of the yellow flag. But obviously, it's a competition yellow. But now Harris is now 1 lap down.
But he's 2 laps down now with the pit stop, so he would still be a 1 lap down. As there goes, in live action, Dennis Moore in the inside up through Redmond. And Ritter's not expect to cross up his teammate, ends up going back of the line and following on through. In the battle, what's now formed up for the 8th position. But in regards to that question and answering, might come into play for some, depending. It really depends on when this caution flies the next 12, 13 laps.
Jeff Stab now, right now in the 12th spot. You're on board with him there in the 24 from Billings, Montana. I got Montana on the brain lately, Justin. I've kind of been binge watching Yellowstone in my week off doing iRacing last week for the Juneteenth holiday. It's before going out of town. And obviously, Billings, Montana is just outside of Bozeman, where they film Yellowstone, the TV show. And that's where Jeff Stabnow's from. Got a good run going for him on the road course tonight of that 24 Ford.
Yeah, been doing very well so far. He has been somewhat traditionally doing well on the road courses. Not been at the same pace as Ryan Bloom, but he has been at a decent clip to possibly get to the top 5 nearly, or at least the top 7 before the competition caution. Still has O'Hare and Brightsman to deal with for the time being. And you mentioned Montana. I mean, there is the Montana 200 coming up that some of our drivers have done very well at over the years.
Ryan Bloom again, the man up in front. We're working down lap 20 when they come to the line. There is again Stab now, trying to run down Stephen O'Hare to get himself an 11th spot. His teammate Sean Brightsman is in that 10th position. Little Wheeling and Dillon as Christopher White's behind Stab now in the 13th position, if you will, the Baker's dozen bubble spot. And meanwhile, Devin West under attack by Robert Campbell for the number 2 position as they work off that corner.
Devin West missing the corner through Atwood. Lows by Gamble up to a race-high second. They work through the hairpin with Kevin Smith in the popcorn seat. Working their way through the curbing of hairpin. Up to Revolver for the left-hander. Up to the right side, back down to the inside part of the curbing to be able to get the apex down. Robert Campbell looking to run away in one of his best runs this entire season.
Robert Campbell is coming off of a win also, Justin, at the Spa earlier a few weeks ago on the Wednesday night Fun Series for the RGL Motorsports GT3 Series. Remember, they've got 2 more weeks of that. This Wednesday night, they'll be at Virginia International Raceway. Next week will be the championship finale at Watkins Glen. Then they'll prepare, I believe, for dirt racing with the Super Dirt Car Big Block Modifieds for 5 weeks. And I think unofficially the combo is 5 late model races on pavement, I think, is the conversation for the final week stretch as well, for that 15 weeks off or the 9, I think it's 12 weeks off, I believe it is, right before the Labor Day. But anyhow, then they return back with the Xfinity cars and the Fun Series going on during the summer. The trucks still battling here on a Monday night. They will continue to battle on the Monday night. We'll be off next Wednesday night, come back in 2 weeks for Pocono. And I believe also July 6th is the continuation of the eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying series. And that will be right back again on LSRTV and the FTN network beginning on July 6th. So that's coming up next next Thursday as well. Now you're caught up, Justin, with some of the schedule.
Yes, indeed, but I will say I'm very curious how the round 2 goes for the qualifications. Devin West making things interesting. The battle for third, a dive nearly backed out indeed through Redmond. Up through Hobbs for the right-hander. West is sliding at the back end of this run and sliding literally nearly spins in a full lock on the wheel to save the 5.
Yeah, what a save that was right there to at least try to stay in the number 4 spot or stay in the top 5. But remember, all that goes out the window because there is going to be a competition caution here very soon in the next 10 laps. And we're seeing more drivers maybe take advantage of an undercut. Justin Tyler King, his 421, defending Truck Series champion on the pit lane.
Just about the halfway point of the race, so that means most drivers may be thinking about the fuel mileage. Now it's the matter of how many drivers elect to stretch it. Better yet, Devin West now visits the sand trap in the battle for 4th, and there goes his chance to battle for the top 3 for the time being.
So Devin West going off the reservation and now falling back still in 4th. Literally, listen. Oh, Robert Campbell, 3rd place truck. And there goes Devin West to get his spot back on the podium.
Campbell up for a season-high 2nd. Spins it off the racetrack in the middle sector off of Revolver. All the way back to Dan West Jr., and a loss of at least 20 seconds, nearly 15 plus seconds rather. Not the run needed for him so far tonight. By the way, Ryan Bloom's run, it's been spotless. For the 25, it's up to 36 seconds over his teammate Kevin Smith.
There is Ryan Bloom. The interval now 36 seconds, Justin. I can't believe it. Since we went to Radio ID, it was 18 seconds. It is now doubled to 36 seconds over Kevin Smith. 43 seconds back to Devin West. 50 seconds back and climbing on Dan West Jr. 51 seconds back to Robert Gamble. Okay, that's enough. Almost a half a second lead on second and almost a 1 minute lead over everybody else on the racetrack. I cannot believe the run that Ryan Bloom is having here right now on lap 22.
Yeah, at this point, coming up to start lap 24, in fact, now at this rate, this is an absurd rate of speed. And eventually, of course, that's going to go down with the stops and the competition caution. There it is. Competition caution's out, lap 24.
We had a feeling it was coming. It was between a lap 11 and 31. There was a 20-lap drive when the caution would fall. And there you have it. Ryan Bloom losing that over 40-plus second lead, gone. Now, Justin, Tyler King, he pitted right before the caution came out. Obviously, he's going to be the new leader because everyone else, I believe, is going to come down to the pit lane.
I think Tyler King's going to be the most intriguing part. Yeah, this is not going to even work well for King at all now as a result of this potential timing here. I don't think he's going to be in a tough spot with the tires where he's going to have to play defense the rest of the way. But for Bloom and for everybody else, just normal pit stop sequence, albeit a lengthy gap to catch to the pace car.
So here's the thing to think about. I believe everyone else in the top 14 behind Ryan Bloom are coming to pit road. Caution out. The one and only free pass of the race is going to be given to B.J. Kendrick. He's the first car or first truck 1 lap down. So the 72 Ford in 15th will go back on the lead lap. However, unless they don't do it in road course racing, but I don't think it's not in the rule book. If everyone comes to the pit lane, JP, Tyler King, Brett Johnson, Frank Harris, and others could possibly go for the wave around and go back on the lead lap if they do that and not pit. So that is something we didn't really think about, and I have a feeling that's exactly what will happen when every one of the top 14 come to the pit lane.
Yeah, but the downside is King needed to stay on the lead lap. Better yet, he needed to lap Bloom and get that lead lap naturally for, I think, the call he was thinking about to work. Guess what? It's not. I don't think it's going to work with how things are playing out here because now he's going to lose. He's lost all his track position. So what can you do other than pace, think, reconsider, plot, because this is going to be at least about 10 minutes of thinking under the pacing and pitting.
Well, again, there's just still a lot of racing, no doubt, left to go here. And with this competition caution now on the track, it certainly makes things rather interesting as well. Justin Prince, I'm Wesley Outland. Ryan Bloom has been the man up in front all night long so far here since the drop of the green. If we could have a recap, you would have seen the start with, of course, Dennis Moore, the fast qualifier, and Ryan Bloom on the front row on that opening shot into turn 1. First turn, Dennis Moore slips JP, and the man to take advantage of it, of course, was Ryan Bloom. And since then, the 25 has been in the P1 spot.
Yeah, basically since apex turn 1. Again, I don't know if there's what you can really do as a driver to adjust in a way that you get 2 seconds of speed. I think just Bloom's got that much preparation down for tonight that no one else has been able to come even close to sniffing his times. It's not an easy feat, is what I'm trying to say, to do what he's doing right now.
So we'll have the pit stops coming up here anytime now. Nonetheless, you know everybody's going to be coming out of the pit road. Here comes Ryan Bloom. And the rest of the cavalry will follow. It'll be a feeding frenzy looking for new fresh tires and filling up those tanks with Sunoco fuel. Pit lane is open. The money stop, obviously, here at Okayama International Circuit. Look at them coming to the pits. Obviously, Justin, with this one and only pit stop, I say this also, you don't want to mess up and make a mistake on pit road.
You don't want to end up sliding through. You don't want to end up losing all your track position by getting a speeding penalty racing to the cone. Quite simply, just pit, get in, get out. Nice and simple for Ryan Bloom, and it looks like most drivers so far.
Ryan Bloom in first, out first. Smith, West, Gamble. All these drivers resetting. Obviously, we continue to watch and see again, BJ Tidrick back on the lead lap.
That's
and Tyler King back on the lead lap.
I'm curious, yes, indeed. I think, yeah, you're right. I was about to say, I thought he was going to be stuck behind the pace car based on the positioning there for a second.
No.
But I think indeed King's in the right spot. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what I was saying was he went for the wave around, and obviously that he had to wait for them trucks to pit. But then he had to run to catch up to everybody, and that's exactly what I think he's done. He's put himself back on the lead lap. Actually, now 18 vehicles are on the lead lap on the circuit. Only Dan Lowther 8 laps down on the race course. Of course, Joshua Cushman is 17 laps down. All right, let's give you the full field rundown as we stand here after the cycle of pit stops have concluded, and we are officially at 20 to go with 25 in. Ryan Bloom is the leader. Kevin Smith is second when we come to the restart. Devin West and West, kind of like the way the race started on row 2. Father and son, father flip-flop that on the second row. Dennis Moore, the pole truck, back to 5th. Paul Newton is in 6th. He's been consistently in the top 5 tonight. Christopher White with a couple of hiccups in 7th, back up in the top 10, along with Stephen Paulus in 8th. Sean Brightsman having issues, right back into the top 10 of the pit stop tonight. And Robert Gamble also at one time in the podium spot 3rd, spun out. He still, Justin, is currently your top 10.
11th spot right now, Toby Ritter is able to get some of the damage work done in the pit lane as a result of contact with his teammate earlier. Stephen O'Hare quietly in 12th. John Onamaker is in 13th. With Jeff Stab now after pit stops shuffled all the way back to 14th. Tyler King's back in 15th after the wave round with Frank Harris in 16th. He's looking to get the wave round when we get the one to go signal. The drivers pinned the laps down though. Brett Johnson in the 7. 72 of BJ Tidrick. Dan Lowther, meanwhile, has stayed out of the race 9 laps down. Joshua Cushman ran a few laps and then parked it. He's 17 laps down, rounding out your 20 entrants.
So that is the way it has all shaked up for us, if you will, here in this event. And mind you, still a long way to go. I mean, 20 laps, I know seems like a shootout, Justin, but honestly, that's still a good distance remaining.
Yeah, there's still a lot of time for potential mistakes to pop up. Looking like we'll have about 18 laps, still about 30 minutes or so of racing to be able to think about. If you're Ryan Bloom, I think it's simple. Just hope for no major mistakes alongside at this point. From Kevin Smith, and especially for the West Family Racing trucks in 3 and 4 in the spots. If anything happens with those drivers, it might be open season for the lead.
Ready for the field. to come back to restart here. The lights are off on that pace car. We'll try this again. Charles Wooten again doing a great job on the broadcast coverage. Boy, oh boy, I heard that thunder outside. I'm staying it with you here, even though the weather is really stormy tonight. Normally, that bad weather's at Justin's or at Charles' neck of the woods whenever he's producing, but he got lucked up tonight, I believe. But Justin, a nice night in Canada for you.
Yes, indeed. The night of the 4th fireworks for reference in the Windsor Detroit region tonight, but as well, very rainy. On the bright side, these drivers haven't dealt with rain on the racetrack. It's raining everywhere in the U.S. today.
That's true. Yeah, it's true. And thoughts and prayers with everybody being affected from Texas to Indiana and Tennessee and all other parts by the severe weather of tornadoes as well. And hopefully everybody has a great, happy, and safe 4th of July. Remember, we're taking off next Monday night. And then another stretch in 2 weeks at Pocono. Here we go. Ready to bring them back to green whenever the pace car veers onto the pit lane. It'll make the turn here in just a moment. With Ryan Bloom and Kevin Smith on the front row. It's 19 laps to go. 18 remaining when they come to speed. The pace car obviously beginning to pick up momentum, losing its way from the front row of Smith and Bloom. Safety car out of harm's way, working back to the restart zone. Ryan Bloom got to back off and let him get caught back to him. The Win Racing teammates, front row. LSR teammates, row 2. Win Racing's Dennis Moore, Paul Newton right there on row 3. Paulison and White. Brightsman Gamble, your top 10. Pace car makes the right-hand veer onto the pit lane right now. Here we go, back into the restart zone. 18 laps to go at Okayama International Circuit in virtual Japan under the Autobacks bridge to the line. Justin, we're back underway. The shootout, the run to the finish is underway again.
Kevin Smith launches himself into the sand trap, up for the point. Now it's Bloom back up to the lead, all while Kevin Smith drops outside the top 10, working their way this time through Williams. Ryan Bloom looking to get back to work, up by half a second already, as up to the battle goes Newton.
Shades of what Dennis Moore did in the start, Kevin Smith did here in the restart of this race after the Cop Yellow. And he falls all the way back to 12th. Ryan Bloom holding on to the lead. Already opening up Justin a second over Devin West. 3 seconds on Dennis Moore. And look at this great racing going on with Chris White, Sean Brightsman, Paulison, Tidrick, Gamble all up in front. Wow.
White trying to avoid contact, keeps off the door coming out of Piper. Working to Redmond, White on the left side, Brightsman to right side for the curb. White looking to get the full rotation through for the switchback. No, Brightsman holds on to the preferred line for Hobbs. Works up the right side, White shuffles up a lane and a half. Move Brightsman back up inside the 7th position.
Dennis Moore, the pole truck, remember, with 3 wins this year in his previous starts of 12 out of 13 events, counting round 14 tonight at Okayama. 3 wins, 2 poles, 6 top 5s and 6 top 10s. And now moving back up to 3rd, there's Sean Brightsman. Brightsman 11th in the points, looking for that first win of the year. And by the way, Ryan Bloom, if he could win tonight, Justin, he will tie Dennis Moore and Devin West with 3 wins on the season.
It's been an impressive run, to say the very least, for him tonight to be able to try and do that. Meanwhile, Gamble in the midst of the battle for 8th. Starting to calm down and spread out with 17 laps to go. Down the straightaway, they watch as Brightsman takes a peek to the inside of Paulison. Paulison gives a lot of space. Brightsman makes the move through the hairpin. takes up the 6th position for the Revolver.
It's Paulson again right there in that 7th spot. Brightsman in tow in front of him, so is White. Look at this now. Gamble got a little shot there from, I believe, Smith. Cracking the top 10 again as they work their way in that corner. Sharp turns here, Justin, no doubt about it. You got to be on the binders, you got to be alert, and you got to be mindful of everyone around you as well.
Extremely mindful to be able to make sure you get the lines right. If you end up trying to get too hard on the gas, you can either spin out and end up spinning to the inside or pushing up into the doors.
Dennis Moore, by the way, the points leader coming into tonight's event. By the way, Tyler King, if you want to say the first stage winner, if you will, before the comp caution, he's right now as defending champion. 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s. Justin, for defending series champion, he's not found victory lane yet. He's struggled in the 21 this year.
Yeah, it's not been a great season. Just 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s. And the speed just hasn't been fully there. The only laps really led have been in pit cycles. It's been involved in incidents in about all but a couple races. It's not been pretty, and it's got to be frustrating. And I think it can say the very least has been frustrating for him in this case throughout the season. In fact, he can throw in one of his fellow Beaver State machines. O'Hare's also in that same boat. O'Hare was a contender in race victories about a year ago. This season, contending for battling for as high as 10th in most weeks. That chips away at you.
Stefan O'Hare right now in 14th. Audenbacher right there behind him. 14th and 15th spot. 15 laps to go as well. Nicole Bryan Photography, number 41 Ford. Right now in the clutches of trying to run down Jeff Stabnow, who's in that 13th spot. Everybody right now trying to run down Ryan Bloom, who Justin has just... If we're at Okayama, he's at Suzuka. He's in a whole other world compared to these guys. That just shows you how good of a job he's got on this truck.
Yeah, this is just absolute domination station for Bloom today. Still keep an eye, though, on recovery drives. Kevin Smith looking for the move. This time on Chris White, heading up to the hairpin, taking the right side is Smith. White leaves space again. Kevin Smith rotates up to 8th. It's almost like they're rotating positions more than anything else today.
Being put patiently waiting to rotate positions, Justin, if you might want to add more to that.
Yeah.
If you do it too aggressively, it might cost you and you're in the fence. And we've seen that happen a time or two tonight as well.
Yeah, in a lot of cases, as Tower King's luck continues to not go well. More troubles with the slide coming out of Hobbs. And just like that, the older tires are really melted on down for King's truck.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, oh, man. Stefan O'Hare. They're in that 12th spot, as we mentioned again, just kind of lying in the weeds, being patient. You ain't going to get no caution flag, so you might as well throw that out the window.
And now it's the matter of this drive. Go ahead.
Justin, I'm sorry. I was going to say that, you know, we really don't know the info about this course, but one thing I can tell you for sure, is that this could be a wild card like a Daytona or a Talladega here at Okayama International Circuit, because obviously this is an unknown for a lot of drivers.
And again, you don't usually see the drivers have to prepare for Okayama. So that's indeed the case, where you better put in the preparation, or put in the laps. You better make sure you at least got seat time here. And as well, you know, take a look at how the track is drawn on the circuit. Because again, all that's part of that preparation really challenges the preparation levels of each of these drivers.
Got some nasty weather outside for those that are joining us on the FM feed on CRN or wearecrn.com. We got knocked offline because of the weather. Our apologies of that. We're back with you, ready to bring this to the final 13 laps. Justin Prince, I'm Wesley Outland. Charles Wooten handling our broadcast here tonight for iRacing on LSRTV. And the, of course, audio coverage. Jeff Stabnow off track. Goes a little off-road, gets back going again. Falls back a couple of spots now, just into 14th.
Yeah, that's been a common trait throughout part of the race today. Just the camber of that corner and through outward curve, but also just how you need to be able to hit it to be able to be quick, but also not too quick. It's also challenging. Here comes the send. Meanwhile, now Toby Ritter's trying to give a lot of space to Robert Gambill. That's for 10th. Robert Gambill, top 10.
"12 laps to go." He's ready to bring this one to the finish here tonight, no doubt. The Northwest iRacing Truck Series, presented by CLICKIT RV, here tonight at Okayama International Circuit. The final dozen laps, with Ryan Bloom, the man up in front. He leads the charge. 7.5 seconds now over Devin West. Dennis Moore, pole truck, in the number 3 spot, 8 seconds back. Justin, much better restart for the after the cop caution for the pole truck for Win Racing, and the points leader also. And here's something to think about. Dennis Moore and Ryan Bloom also 1 and 2 in the points for Win Racing.
Yeah, Win Racing going to continue to pile on those performances with how things are playing out here tonight. I'm really impressed with the recovery from Dennis Moore that's taken all night long, but it has gotten to where it's just clicking to be able to go forward at this point. And that's just, again, been the traits of the season. Interestingly enough, though, when you look at consistency point to point, it's more so the West Racing trucks that have the more consistency because of the less totals when you look at the top 5 and top 10 ratios, because of how both those West Family Racing trucks have ran this year as well.
Down the straightaway, 11 to go. There's Toby Ritters again. He's in 11th spot. Rose Ritter's family, Russ Ludwig, everybody cheering him on in the chat box, obviously, as always. Got to be happy with the drive. He had that T-bone shot, but I kind of jinxed it talking about the good run he had, and then, well, I don't want to really say anything about him right now, but I have to, Justin, because he's at least outside the top 10, and he's actually lurking on Robert Gambill for the top 10 here with about 11 to go.
Yeah, again, Gambill, you talked about that experience when it comes to the road course side this season. That's really gone and populated itself on through. Ottenbacher, though, now being pressurized by a teammate. A little bit of a lock-up for Stabnow, and a kiss to Ottenbacher. Pushes Stabnow now to the right side of it, can pass the revolver.
There, Jeff Stabnow again, right now 14th. Teammate Ottenbacher right behind him. A couple of Billings, Montana drivers. The 24 and the 89 teammates. I wonder how many dinners or get-togethers that Jeff Stabnow and John Ottenbacher have with each other, being both from the same hometown.
Yeah.
Charles said they can't because Jeff can never get off work. He does stay pretty busy. And then, of course, with the LSRTV job as well, Justin, it's a lot going for him. So you were saying, but
just going to say, running a road course is a lot of work. We've seen that.
Yeah. Devin West with a little damage on the rear end of the tailgate of the 5. Front end okay, though. As he is wheeling and dealing. You know, Justin, we mentioned the bind that the Shelton, Washington driver Devin West had for not only the Truck Series Monday night, but the Wednesday night series as well, but by missing races because of work-related deals. But, man, I'm telling you, Justin, he's climbed himself out of the hole both leagues and put himself in the daylight to not only climb into the top 10 or 15 in the points, but be able to make a run for the championship for both races because he's won on both leagues.
And that's almost the Devin West experience. Devin West extremely quick on the ovals this season. He's been arguably quicker than his dad for parts of this campaign when he's been able to take the time to race. It's a major flip of the script because a couple years ago was almost the inverse of that. When you think back to around 2020, even 2021, started to equalize out last year. This year, it's completely flipped to Devin West's direction. Whenever he doesn't, well, slip and slide like he is out of Atwood to open up doors for more for passes.
That's, of course, Devin West battling Dennis Moore for the bridesmaid spot. This is for P2. Driver left on Moore. Can't clear him. Moore won't back down. Single digits now, by the way. 9 to go. What a battle for the second spot. Heating up here at Okayama International. And while that goes on, Justin, Ryan Bloom gone. 12 seconds now in the 25 of the lead.
Oh, and a slip and slide again for Devin West. Still able to hold on to it, though, and keep on chugging away. Again, a shout out to Newton. He usually runs on the road courses. He emphasized not running for the championship. Has run well, though, in his spot starts this season as a whole. I've been really impressed with what Newton's been able to do, running top 5 all night long, just doing his thing, and now has a chance to battle with Devin West for the podium.
Watching all this happen now. And Justin, I'll be honest, but it looks like we're coming up on sundown here at Okayama.
Now that could be interesting if it gets any darker than this, because there is no lighting around the corners. If you haven't noticed, the headlights aren't functional on these trucks, so good thing is we're only racing for a few more minutes, because if we race for 20 more minutes, we might have some visibility issues for some.
Me in the dark, and these lights on those wrap jobs for those trucks are fake. They don't light up, so and no lights around Okayama either, so we could not be doing night racing, obviously. 8 to go.
Still
the man to run down, Ryan Bloom. The man to run down, Justin, Ryan Bloom. But I I don't think anybody can catch it, bud. I think we've got our third winner of the season. Or excuse me, we've got Ryan Bloom with his third win this year.
Yes, indeed.
What has happened? What? What has happened? Oh, we're back. We are back. We are back. Things went awry, but somehow, Justin, we come back okay on the other side.
So, for those wondering, technical issues can happen to anybody. And right now, the drivers are fine. I'm going to throw it to you, Wesley.
I'm wondering, Justin. I'm wondering if the iRacing servers are getting affected by this dang nasty weather on the East Coast, man.
I'm not quite sure, but here's the major thing. Still 7 to go. And I think drivers at this point are just going to close it out. Yeah. And for those referenced, I've had technical issues where I've not been able to jump in the server myself, so I can tell you this.
Yeah.
It's based on location more so person to person. I wonder what's going to happen to close things up. All I'll say is the drivers are running like there is everything fine.
Okay. So the show goes on. It's just on our end, basically. On the broadcaster side, possibly. I don't know.
So as we come to 6 to go, why don't we do this, Wesley? I'll let you throw.
Yeah, we're having technical difficulties. We're going to go to commercial break is what I'm being told. Everybody stand by. We'll be back with a finish, hopefully, from Okayama in just a moment. Ryan Bloom, 14-second lead over Dennis Moore, Devin West, Paul Newton, and Dan West Jr. We got a break.
Uh-oh.
Charles, can you hear us? Is it on Charles' end? Charles, can you hear us, brother? Charles. Justin, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Is it on Charles' end? Okay. 6 laps to go. 5 remaining, actually, now. So we're coming to the finish of this race. 5 remaining. Again, Wesley Outland, Justin Prince having a little TD areas, but we're working on it behind the scenes, trying to get this one to the finish, Justin. And again, Ryan Bloom continuing to open up the lead. 15 seconds now on Dennis Moore. Devin West now under attack by Paul Newton, the guy we call the road course king, for third. The interval now 20 seconds back to Ryan Bloom with 5 to go.
Not as big as it was earlier, but it doesn't need to be as big as it was before with how things are right now. So right now at this point, just keep it clean, keep it on the racetrack, survive. After all, there's a hornet's nest for third and it's about to cook.
Yeah, something's about to cook here. It's about to pop. 5, 6 trucks in this pack here, led by Devin West for third. There's Newton. Dad West right there trying to reel in with Paul. And you got, of course, Newton. And then, of course, Smith, as I meant to say. Brightsman right behind him as well. all of this transpiring here.
It's now becoming a choo-choo train. If anything, with 5 to go, Dan West Jr. is the bottom to Kevin Smith. Working their way up to Mike Knight corner. Kevin Smith moves back in turn to the 5th position. Newton, though, looks hungry for a top 3. All over the back end of the 5 truck is the 27. Now down to 4 to go as the leaders cross the stripe.
Four to go. And Bloom, the man up in front. What a drive for the number 25. Looking to get a 3rd win of the season. Number 2 in the points. Tied now with Devin West and the driver, Dennis Moore, the points leader. If he pulls it off. 3 different drivers with 3 wins this year. Now down to 4 to go. 3 to go when they come to the line. Devin West now holding off the Hornets' nest behind him of Paul Newton, Kevin Smith and company.
Newton within a truck length looks to get himself close to the bumper. Locks up the brake a touch, not able to get the great rotation. Devin West still able to hold on. Now it's the question, with Devin West having a clean air edge as well, how much does that play in as Kevin Smith nearly spins it around the revolver up to Piper?
Look at this now. Smith. There's Dan West Jr. trying to somehow clear by the Win Racing entry. CLICKIT RV of Walla Walla, Washington's Kevin Smith to get back up there. Clear by Newton and get back with his son. Look like Devin West having a blinking issue there for just a moment. And he pops back up into view as they come to the line. 3 laps to go here at Okayama International Circuit in virtual Japan. Our first time ever covering this race. And Justin, I'll be honest, it's had its moments of kind of quietness, especially for the lead, for the win. But for the most part, besides the domination of Ryan Bloom, there has been some interesting racing and a lot of tactical ways of trying to get around this road course that is new to our Northwest brethren.
And for some drivers, it's taken a lot of new different learning techniques. For others, it's almost like riding a bike and figuring out how to ride it from the onset. Now, Newton looking to ride his way to the inside. Now Cannon alongside Devin West. Kevin Smith to the back bumper of Newton. Now West misses the corner, heading through Revolver.
Off the track
Newton's
goes Paul
missed the
Newton.
corner.
Yeah, Paul Newton off course. This opens up the door now for Dan West Jr. to clear by PN. And now he'll settle in to try to catch Smith. Smith right there behind Devin West for the 3rd spot. Meanwhile, Dennis Moore has cleared by them by 10 seconds. And Bloom has opened up 17 seconds on Dennis Moore. A bumper, look at Smith all under the back of West to the outside. Driver right on the passenger door. Can't clear him. Behind him, Newton and also Dan West Jr. going at it as they work to 2 to go into turn 1 at Okayama JP.
Smith with the bobble, now able to hold on to the right side. Preferred line switches back the other direction through Williams for Devin West. Smith slides up, now hits the curbing. Devin West slips back and slots in through Moss S. Now back to a truck length advantage for West. Kevin Smith regroups, looks for the arc as they work their way out of Atwood Curve.
West trying to hold off on that bump. Oh, he got sideways, and Smith goes off the track. He spins, battling right there for that spot. My. Knew it was going to come down to this, battling for position. And Devin West now might have just put himself into clear selling for 3rd. Or can Newton catch?
That's the huge question on many people's minds as West Gets a little bit squirrely, working up and too wide. Here comes Newton, who gets loose. Nearly spinning through Redmond. Hobbs working through. Oh, this is wild with the white flag waving. Final time around for Ryan Bloom as Bloom looks to close it out of Williams. It's been domination station for Ryan Bloom for the onset, every lap being led by the 25 truck throughout this evening's festivities. Still 3/4 of a race to go, but the battles heat up at the other end of the racetrack, still in those battles for the top 3. Still plenty of time to work with for others. Not so much for Devin West in terms of pressure, but also in terms of how much time he has if there's any mistakes. Leader has a quarter of a track to go. Devin West now with a dent to the back bumper, working their way through Atwood Curve in the battle for 3rd position. Newton working, can't get there quite yet. Final sector being started meanwhile by the race leader, Ryan Bloom. It's been a very stellar season for the 25 machine, the former ARCA Series champion in Northwest competition. He entered the night second in the point standings to his teammate Dennis Moore. But one thing he can't say he's even footing on in terms of those statistics, the win totals. Final corner, checker flag waves, Ryan Bloom, 3rd victory of the season, ties a season high. Second spot, Dennis Moore, who started on the outside of the front row with his teammate in Bloom, recovers from near dead last to 2nd for his 7th top 5 of the season. 3rd on back, that's going to be the interesting mark after the Win Racing 1-2 is clinched here. Devin West able to clinch and hold on to 3rd. Despite everyone's best efforts, it's Devin West 3rd, Newton in 4th. Riding the top 5 is Dan West Jr. Much of the field looking to close things out and close to the checker flag at this point. But it's Ryan Bloom who gets to celebrate with the checker tonight. Most of our drivers still looking to close up this race across the racing circuit for the time being. Amongst those, just getting locked up and solidified. Paulison, Ritters, White. Amongst those who finish it up as the 25 waits for the chance to celebrate win number 3. So an exciting night of action across this circuit here in Japan, to say the very least, throughout the festivities and throughout the action. Jeff Stabnow, interestingly enough, amongst those in the top 12, we'll talk about more. So how things broke down for the finishing order, just a moment. As things cool down on the cool down lap, Ryan Bloom picks up the win by 20 seconds. That gap grew by 6 seconds in the final 5 minutes of this race, or final 5 laps, should say. Moore, West, Newton, West Jr., top 5. Gambill, Brightsman, Chris White, Ritters, Paulison, the top 10. 11th spot went to John Annenbacher with Jeff Stabnow in 12. Harris and Kane, the last of the lead lap. Kevin Smith finished 1 lap down to the end. Bad break for the 00, who was in the battle for the top 5 before the last laps. Brett Johnson 16th, 17th going to O'Hare. Multiple laps down at DNF. In fact, in that position 7 down. Tidrick, Lowther, and Cushman. The drivers who entered tonight's race, all 20 drivers. How they're ordered here officially. We'll take a step aside. Post-race coverage coming up right after this here on LSRTV. Welcome back to LSRTV for post-race coverage of the Northwest Truck Series presented by CLICKIT RV. An intriguing night from Okayama Circuit. Lots to talk about with our drivers during our post-race coverage tonight. I'm Justin Prince. Wes Gutland been with us the majority of the night. Has power issues currently, unfortunately. Charles Wooden in the production seat. Let's talk things over with our top three on how things played out tonight. We'll start in third all the way through to first. Devin West finishing in the third spot tonight. It was not an easy battle to hold on to third. How did that truck feel at the end of that race?
Pretty bad, honestly. I tried to make the decision to go run with Ryan for like 2-3 laps to see what I could do. And that was just unbelievably regrettable. The truck was pretty much garbage from that point on. I was just hanging on. I thought the setup wasn't bad. It's just running these tires, even just, 1% too hard, and the fall off is insane. I mean, the truck just doesn't drive anymore. So yeah, I mean, I feel bad. I was holding those guys up quite a bit, just trying to hold on to my truck. So I definitely owe them. Back on the pavement on the oval side, I'll probably let them go a few times to make up for it. But sometimes I just want to race, and I wanted to try to fight for that spot. I felt like I had the speed usually if I didn't run myself out in the first 3-4 laps. So.
Yes, indeed. But there is one caveat this season. It's been a very stellar campaign. You missed some races early on, but you're still amongst those who've had very consistent speed. When you break it down in terms of that consistency, even to the team championship side of things on the Sim Racer Hub data, even though you have less numbers, your team is constantly a walking top 5. How is that feeling between you and your father being able to run top 5 week in, week out like you have?
I mean, it feels great, obviously, and that's really all because of Jeff. Jeff brings great setups. The guy is unbelievably smart when it comes to stuff. Every once in a while, these guys like Ryan and Dennis and all them will bring a set that I'm not sure anybody can beat. I think they need the P Cup after this race. That was crazy. And then to have Sean back after this week, for this week actually, it's pretty big. He's obviously super quick and brings a lot to the team, along with John, Brett, all those guys. As a team, man, everybody adds so much to it that it's pretty easy to go run top 5 most weeks.
Now, next time out is Pocono, and curious on your take on this. Was discussing this with somebody earlier, the C-Fix side in particular. Dirty air now a factor on the ovals more so to be able to replicate the real world. Your thoughts on what you expect now with Pocono in a couple weeks, knowing the changes to the trucks with the damage model, but also the drafting, so to speak, in terms of traffic.
It should be a great race. I mean, I've ran there a handful of times in this league, and every single time, I swear, it's like a 10-way battle for the lead, for the win at least, down in the final lap. So. It'll be a great race. I think that's probably one of the best races to watch all year long. Obviously, guys like Dennis and Ryan and Kevin, those guys are all going to be super quick. I'm not very good there. I don't think I've ever hit the tunnel turn correctly in my entire life, but I'm going to give it a shot, and so we can hang with those guys.
Any shout-outs you'd like to give for tonight?
Yeah, like I said earlier, just Jeff bringing awesome sets. Welcome back, Sean. Happy to have him here. John, Brett, Dad, just for hanging out with me. LSRTV up in the booth, you guys are great. CLICKIT RV, sponsoring the series, that's always a big help. And then my sponsors, Effective Web Solutions, Kingston Hardwood, and Motorsports Distributing.
Well, congratulations again on the one, Devin. Devin West, top 3 here tonight. In second spot tonight was Dennis Moore. An interesting night for you because turn 1, first of all, how was it running in the sand trap at the start of the race?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. I haven't been to the beach in a while, but yeah, I just drove it too hard down in there, and I forgot we were on new tires, just sent it. So it was interesting coming back through the field, and I spun out again, wrecked my own teammate Toby. I apologize to him, but this setup that Ryan put together was unbelievable. I mean, for me to finish second at a road course is like a win. Like I was more nervous racing this than I would be if I were leading on oval. It was just a ton of fun, and congrats to Ryan, winning by 20 seconds.
I was about to ask about the mindset tonight in terms of going to the beach and then having the incident with your teammate. If it makes you feel better, Toby actually went faster after he picked up the nose damage. What was that mindset like, trying to get yourself settled back into recover with a race of at least 3 of them?
Well, I knew we had the best set. I just had to be patient, keep it on track. And then, yeah, Toby was fast. And I just feel terrible because we were both, gaining on the guys ahead of us, and he's put a ton of work into these shocks and stuff like that for the setup.
Well, Pocono's next up, and we were talking about the team dynamics. West Family Racing having consistency amongst the top 5s, but you have the numbers in terms of consistency for the win side. What's that preparation now going to be like? Because now the second half of the season breaks away a lot from the real world schedule and from the eNASCAR schedule for the qualifiers.
Yeah, we're actually excited about that because we build all our sets. We don't buy them. So, guys not being able to buy Road Pro sets is going to help us in the long run. But we should have a good set. We'll get to work here in the next few days. We've got to keep up with Jeff and those guys, LSRTV. They'll be putting the pressure on. But I think we got a good setup to start with. I put some laps in already, so we'll see.
Who would you like to give a shout out to tonight?
First of all the guys at Northwest Racing Series, Jeff, Dan, Sean, everybody that puts this series on. You guys at LSRTV booth, Bomb Speed Setup Shop, Ryan and I and Kevin and Toby all put work into these sets. And then, let's see, CLICKIT RV, the main sponsor of the league. It's also on my truck. Thank you, guys.
Congratulations on the second place, Dennis. That's Dennis Moore in second position here tonight. The race win, though, for the 3rd time this season, with the way of Truck 25, Ryan Bloom for Win Racing. Ryan, how was it leading by 36 seconds by a third of the track at one point?
Yeah, honestly, I didn't even know how far I was out in front. I looked a couple times, but really I was just so focused on just not overdriving some of these corners. It was so easy to do. Just hit my marks. I knew we had the best set. I just had to not do anything stupid and just overdrive it. I knew I was fast. We put in the time, and track like this, I didn't really know what to expect. We had some really good sets last year, so it was a matter of kind of finding the best one that fit this track and kind of tweaking on it. And obviously it worked, so, but yeah, I didn't assume anything on, I knew LSRTV would be good, Beaver State, they always bring, fast trucks to the road courses, so we put a lot of time into it. I really wanted to get this win, get back in victory lane, and it is a lot easier when you start up front and can kind of gap the guys behind me and just kind of settle in and get in a rhythm. But it was a lot of fun. I really come to like this track a lot, even though it was a lot more difficult than I kind of thought it would be. But all in all, a really good night, and really couldn't have asked for much more.
Elaborate a little bit more on the track part, because for a lot of drivers it seemed tricky. Your own teammate Dennis Moore went off the track at one point. Both the restarts, whoever started on the outside of you ended up sliding out for the little gravel trap. How was it trying to conquer this circuit that has not really hosted too much NASCAR in its history? In fact, none, but a lot of road course racing and F1 in its history.
Yeah, it's interesting track. We got some really tight turns, really tight right-handers, and which really put a lot of pressure on the left rear and a lot of wear on that. And it's just, need a lot of throttle control on this because it's so easy to spin the tires, especially coming up the hill on I think it was turn 4. You can really get out from under you. And really had to be precise. There's a lot of engine braking involved and trail braking, and it's really a pretty technical course, more than I originally had thought. But to be fast, you got to be able to kind of do those things. And I thought I obviously did pretty well tonight and being able to do that. But yeah, the big thing is, one thing I focused on was getting that last corner, because it led on to the longest straight, and I thought that was going to be probably the most important corner. So that was the last last place you wanted to overdrive it and really scrub off time. So put a lot of focus on the turns leading down the big straights.
So now that brings us towards the summer stretch. For the month of July, after 4th of July's break, Pocono, Legacy, Texas, question mark, because we have a retired racetrack in Phoenix on the schedule. I'm not sure which Phoenix is going to be utilized then. Your thoughts on that schedule where it's 3 very different types of tracks, one of which is literally a question mark right now.
Yeah, I mean, I have not even looked past really this race. I missed the last race at Nashville and had a little bit extra time on this, and yeah, I'll have to put in some time for Pocono. That definitely is not one of my better tracks, and kind of a struggle for me on that. But I know we'll put in the time. I bring a good set. I mean, we have to. LSRTV be fast. Beaver State. There's guys out there that we'll have to bring it to beat. It's usually a lot, really fun race, like Devin said, and usually puts on a good show. So definitely some work to do. And then, of course, Texas and Phoenix, depending on which one we run. I have, Texas, the old Texas, I have not even ran in a long time. So that would be kind of something new. Even though it's a 1.5 miles, it's different than the current configuration. So I like those tracks, other than Pocono. Like I said, I'm one of my favorites. So I'm looking forward to the schedule and the summer races coming up.
Any shout-outs you'd like to give for your run tonight?
Yeah, big shout-out to my teammates, Win Racing, putting in time, helping with the setup. Toby for putting in time on the shock package. Really benefited the setup. LSRTV, great job broadcasting these races. And Bomb Speed, well, shout out for that. Brought the speed tonight, so give a shout out to our setup shop, and CLICKIT RV for our sponsoring the series and our team.
Well, Ryan, congratulations on the victory, your 3rd this season.
All right, thank you.
That's Ryan Broom coming home in 3rd spot. Like, thank him, Dennis Moore, as well as Devin West for taking the time to speak with us during post-race coverage of LSRTV. Well, where do we go from here? Well, we get ready for, in part, the 4th of July weekend. In terms of the Northwest Truck Series, that holiday break for the July 3rd slot with 4th of July the day after. But then after that, it's Pocono, Texas, and we'll see which Phoenix we get, because that stretch of July has 3 different circuits. The Tricky Triangle, 1.5 miles, and a mile short track. All can be seen here on LSRTV as well as with CRN. For simulcast coverage, be sure to tune in at 11:25 p.m. Eastern Time. Once again, that is about 8:25 p.m. Pacific Time each week, as the Northwest Racing Series charges forward through the month of July and cruising towards the middle of August. But lots to talk about in turn for the future. I'd like to thank you once more for tuning in, though, for tonight's action here this evening here at Okayama International Circuit. My co-announcer throughout tonight's festivities in Westfield, and for my producer in Charles Wooden, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your evening. You've been watching the Northwest Racing Series from iRacing's virtual Okayama International Circuit. Your winner once again tonight for the 3rd time this season, Truck 25, Ryan Bloom from Japan. Good night. Enjoy the rest of your evening through the sunshine at the Okayama Prefecture.